Hello, this is the voice of Stuart Pearce, and welcome to Deep Dialogues, a series of vital conversations that I have with global soul stewards from all over the world who provide us with an understanding of how we can create a new hierarchy of values that is absolutely significant at this unique time of becoming. I hope you enjoy, and thanks for listening. And so we create a brave new world. Welcome, everybody, particularly our guest of honor, the wonderful, wonderful Olivier Maxted, which I'm going to tell you who Olivier is in a moment. But I just wanted to welcome all of those people that I can see in the chat box. Who can I see? Somebody called Stuart Pearce. I don't know who that is. Little Star Seeds. Starseed, what is your name? I mean, I love the term Little Starseed, but do you have a name where we can relate to you? I very much appreciate you appreciating my work, my darling. Robin, hi. Stacy, Daniela. Oh, wow. All the wonderful, loyal supporters of this particular channel of work. Well, ladies and gentlemen, whether you're listening in presence or indeed listening to the recording, I need to say to you, welcome, welcome. And thank you so much for tuning in and appreciating this channel of affairs. Sarah, hello, Angel Energy. Your voice is amazing. I know, I'm a voice coach. And Jennifer, I think Jennifer's saying hi, Olivier. So this is Jennifer Hart. Do you know Jennifer?
Oh, bless you, Jennifer. Yes,
Yeah. So you see Jennifer, he's saying hi. Hopefully you can hear him. So bless you, bless you, bless you. For all of you, let me just give an official introduction to our wonderful guest this evening. Olivier, starting again. Olivier, interesting name, Olivier, because of course you probably know, those of you who know him, he is bilingual, bicultural between France and England. Olivier catalyzes his clients' life process, helping them to realize the sacred truth of their own divine existence. This inevitably brings resolution to growth that exist within their attitude towards self, their relationships, business interests, and potentially creates a fuller realization of the soul's purpose within human existence. Through both spoken messages and the healing didgeridoo, Olivier channels directly from Indigenous ancestors, bringing a profound connection through the veils of consciousness that presents us with infinite possibilities for a quantum leap of spiritual evolution, particularly for the people he works with. Accompanied by his extraordinary partner, Megan Selby, they have created a global community of inspired beings who are rising together abundantly in the joy of the spirit of awareness and the glory of sound as they expand their soul's journey through the field of infinite possibility. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that sounds spicy to you. It certainly sounds spicy to me, and I have the great pleasure of knowing Olivier. Annie Davenport Turner says hello. Can you see the chat box, by the way?
No, I can't yet. Maybe if I try that.
On the right hand, if you go to comments.
Yes, lovely, Annie.
There's a lot of these wonderful people you will know probably. Hello, Diane in Michigan. Endless curiosity and avid learner. Wonderful. So now, my appreciation of us meeting and recognizing the remarkable transcendental quality of the didgeridoo is that you were called to sound healership at quite an early age, I believe. Is that true?
It was always in my blood, the didgeridoo. I just always felt that call and that pull, and it was my dream to go and live in Australia. I was born in Wales, as you said, to a French mum, Bristolian, Trinidadian dad, so I always had that mix. And my uncles lived in Australia since the 60s, my father's brother. So I just had that dream the whole time growing up. I just knew I had to get there. And once I did, within a couple of years, I picked up the didge, I was playing. and very soon traveling with the Didge, meeting people through it. And then it became part of my teaching. I was working as a high school teacher and play for the students just for a couple of minutes at the start of a class, and it brought them in. And I was like, this is magic. I felt like the Pied Piper of Hamelin, you know, just it just brought them in, and they were ready to engage. And so I just kept using it. And then as I let go of the teaching, it just said to me, let's go. Like, this is the journey. And very soon, Megan came in. And as soon as we did, things just took off. We were invited to Glastonbury Festival to work there. We did a retreat here in Portugal, where we now live. Another retreat in Bali. Let's say, like, the universe wanted it for us.
Beautiful. And what is it, do you feel, that is your calling? I mean, I do believe that remarkable instruments like the didge call us. But what is it, do you feel, that is awakening within your soul through the instrument of the didge? I mean, I almost feel reticent about using the word instrument, because the instrument suggests something that is externalized. And whenever you play, I always feel that you become part of the didge, or the didge becomes part of you. But of course, so, you know, so I just, you know, give that attribution to the nature of what I mean by instrument. But when do you feel, what was it calling you for? How did the calling take place?
Thank you. Yeah. So also I know the spirits, you know, the spirits of the Didge and the spirits of the land that taught me that music. And I'd say not even taught me, but awoke that realization of the infinite presence that comes through. Because, you know, fundamentally it's hollow. It's air. It's a chamber for air. And the same, you know, with our voices, it's air resonating. You know, it's then the inspiriting of that renders it alive. And there's a sacred presence that comes through. And very early on, when I started creating sound baths in Brisbane, a lady came who she was a channeler, and she spoke of how she had a very strong sense of the void as I was playing. And I realized you know, the sacredness of that. You know, from the void, from emptiness, sprang all life. And so, you know, everything is possible. There is the potential for all within that. And I believe that's why it's so healing, is because we can go into a different reality where all is there for us, a new us. And we can feel who that is. We can feel that possibility within us. And know then, we can recognize that signal. It's like coming home to ourselves. And it also allows that space for ancestors. You know, we've had people with deceased relatives or ancestors, you know, receiving messages from them in our sound baths. And also often I'll get guides coming in as I'm playing. So it's, you know, it's so wide open, so wide open.
When you talk of the void, this wonderful lady saying that it opened up the void, what do you feel you mean by the void?
You know, everything that we see in our world, that we see with our senses, is had a beginning and an end. It will have an end. You know, everything that is manifest will change state at some point and become something else. And so the void for me is that which is beyond time. And so it lets us connect to our eternal nature, essentially.
And effectively, a space beyond, or a non-local domain beyond sound, into the origin of where sound comes from, which T.S. Eliot, the great poet, referred to the still point. Core of all energies. And that's seeing it really through the lens of a kinetic humanoid who moves regularly, through the whole of my being, you know. And we know that, for example, in all of our physical training, those of us that have worked as physical therapists, or, you know, in the process that I took actors through for years and years and years and years, because obviously actors are using their bodies somatically as the instrument for the whole of their becoming, and how so often when we're striving to achieve something, we move into effort. We become too dynamic. And as a result, the whole of the landscape, or the picture that we're trying to create, the sensations of the multiplicitousness of the character that we're playing, or the, you know, the song that we're singing, etc., become too pushed. But as soon as the individual begins to find the balance between dynamism and stillness, or between effort and free, it seems that there's a magical place there, which is a zone for infinite possibility. Is this accurate in your perception? Is this what we're talking about?
Yeah, and it reminds me of an episode that happened while I was out bushwalking in Australia that really taught me the essence of all of this, and I'd love to share it if I may.
Please do.
So, um, the thing that shocked me the most when I got to Australia was that it was completely different to everything I was expecting. Even though I studied the place and, you know, spoke to loads of Aussies and just, you know, watched Neighbours, whatever I could to absorb the Australian vibration. But when I got there, everything was different. Everything shifted. And very early on, I got to go to a place called the Warrumbungles, which is an amazing national park in the centre of New South Wales. My brother was working on a telescope there. He's an astrophysicist. So we got to go and hang out.
A physicist.
Yeah. So we've got the stars on both sides, yeah.
So that's interesting, isn't it? That there you were in the earthing process of recognizing the reality of this particular area of the Antipodes, the particular quality of vibration within Queen. You have to be careful, because there are people listening in who, like Sandra Donaldson, who are from Queensland, Australia. Do you know Sandra?
I don't believe that I do, but I'm happy to have
Okay,
you.
well, she's saying hi there. By the way, just sorry, can Olivier, just can I just say hello to a few people, because there's some wonderful people tuning in. Taiki, hello from Michigan. Sue, all the way from South Africa. Christina, Pamela, Dave, whom I don't think I know, do I? Dave and Susie. It's lovely to meet you. Bart, welcome. You've come. Wonderful. Yolanda, Dorina, and Sandra. And Pandora, somebody called Pandora, who's also from Australia, so beware. So we're talking about the interconnectivity of the heavens, your brother as an astrophysicist, and you being remarkably changed by the extraordinary landscape, and of course by all the percolating energies that arise out of the landscape. The very breath of your being was changed. Please continue.
So a few years later, I'd settled in Australia, and I had this calling to go to another national park called Mount Caputar. And so Christmas holidays, off I went. You know, it was high summer, beautiful time to be driving across cotton country it is over there. And I knew I wanted to go and watch a sunset. So I was looking on the map. Okay, I need somewhere facing west. And so it's about a half an hour drive through the national park, and then about another 45-minute walk through the forest to get to a vantage point over an amazing valley, which felt like Gondwana land, like I was expecting pterodactyls to fly out of it at any moment. It was so ancient. And this golden curtain all around me of, you know how baby spiders, when they spread through the forest by putting out this silk and it catches the wind? So there was millions of those coming out of the forest below me, catching the golden rays of sun. So I just had this golden curtain of silk all around me, just blowing my mind. The sunset, there was a bushfire between me and the Warrumbungles, so I could see that first point of contact that I'd had in the distance. The bushfire was making the sun really red. It was just alive. And out of the forest, this kangaroo came and just started munching, just 3 or 4 feet from me. I was like, hello. And I was like, pretty beautiful tonight, isn't it? He was like, yeah, whatever, mate. I see it every night. You know, I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, sun went down, and I'm like blown out, beautiful, blissful sunset. And then I realized I haven't brought a torch. how am I going to get back? It's a 45-minute walk through the forest to my car. How am I going to get back? And I thought, well, let's just try it. I stepped onto the path. The kangaroo leapt in front of me, looked around and went, come on. And he'd hop 2 or 3 hops and wait for me. And I'd catch up, 2 or 3 hops, catch up. When there was a kink in the path, he'd just go hop, hop, and he'd wait. And I'd come around. And he took me all the way back to my car. And around my car was his family, another dozen or so kangaroos, just looking after my car for me. So I just, thanks guys, you're awesome. Off they went and they split. And this connection in my heart just opened me up. And I felt initiated, by the Australian bush in that moment. And now the story continues, because when I got back to Nimbin, the little village where I was living, it was market day and there were some Aboriginal performers at the market. And I was chatting to one of them. He's an artist. His name's Magpie. Beautiful guy. I'd met him a couple of times before. Always had a nice connection. And I was telling him this kangaroo story. I was like, mate, you wouldn't believe it, but this kangaroo rescued me, mate. He was like, well, of course he did. He knew what you needed. We're all connected, brother. That's what happens. Oh, thanks, Magpie. Makes sense of it. Now, years and years later, I meet Megan. And she always had this, I had this funny feeling about Australia. And a few years before, she'd been given a stone. Her sister had gone to Australia, had been to Byron Bay, and she bought a present for Megan, which was a picture of a didgeridoo player in Aboriginal dot painting. And I picked it up in the first couple of weeks of meeting Megan. I looked at it and I went, no way. Magpie is the name on it. So the connection is alive, Stuart. The connection is alive.
This is beautiful magic, isn't it?
Mm.
So your soul was called. This is why I use the messaging, so to speak, of being called, because we know that when we reach those powerful shifts of consciousness, the space-time continuum distorts, and the wheel of destiny suddenly turns. It can turn slowly, it can turn backwards, or it can suddenly go zoom, and it feels like that's what was actually happening. So you were presented with a quantum leap of changing the whole of your perceptual facilitation so that you actually became at one with nature. And what's interesting, in the whole of experience of my Hermetic training in the Middle East, that gold is actually one of the greatest protection devices that we can have around our bodies, or indeed around our auras. That gold is an insulating device, which is why gold historically has always been used in, for example, the gold crown, holding force, the gold of the cupola, in the temple, in the dome of the temple, or indeed the gold ring. It creates bonding, not bondage, but bonding. So and the wonderful thing about your gold was that it was spider spun, which is also immensely magical because it is fragility and its vulnerability. And I don't know whether there's an interconnectivity through this mythos between the Aboriginal peoples and the Native American peoples of the area we call the United States of America. My Indigenous meeting is really with the native peoples. And I worked in New Mexico with a shaman from the Tewa for 3 years. And
the man who taught me the most about Aboriginal culture was my uncle's dear friend, and he was an Aboriginal elder. Bunjalung country and Waka Waka country was his roots on that East Coast. And he told me that when he went to America, they asked him what his totem animal was. As soon as he told them that, they knew exactly where he slotted in. And for Aboriginal people, that was their universe, like the way into the universe. As soon as the totem animals are revealed, who you can marry, what you can eat, the rites that you have to take part in order to keep the land fertile, all of that is revealed. I've been fortunate to have received some of that teaching. it's a universe in itself. I understand that, and I pay my respects so much to the Indigenous people who have held that wisdom so long, so long, and now are allowing people like myself and others who come with their open heart to receive that infinite blessing. That is that it's a transmission. It's a pure transmission.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And of course, those two properties that you're mentioning of coming with an open heart and with a humble state, humble mind, are absolutely crucial. And as a result of that, I've always discovered those qualities that key into our vulnerability always opens up a unique conversation with the wonders of that force within the universe that we're seeing as the indigenous peoples. And we will see, I know, over the next 12 years, we will see extraordinary shifts. I know this has already happened within Australia, where the indigenous peoples have been really appraised rather than castigated. The same thing is beginning to occur in the United States of America. I have a client that I'm mentoring at the moment who's in the high mountains of Colorado, and she's working with a lot of the Native American people through the gift of COVID, because many of them have succumbed. It is part of their destiny to succumb. So as a result of that, the reservation, what do we call it, where people go and gamble, casinos.
Right.
The reservation casinos are not having the attendance that they used to have. So the whole shift of consciousness is that the young ones are now moving away from money-making devices into listening to the elders and being taught in those spaces what Great Mother is wanting us to hear, what Father Heaven and Great Mother of the land is wanting us to hear. So there is this wonderful ripple effect of immense intuitive and organic atavistic processes coming out. So the magic of the Didge was also calling you, and obviously that your totem animal, one of your totem animals, is the Roo. That's pretty extraordinary. Because when the full male Roo is really quite powerful, isn't he?
Absolutely is, absolutely, and it's such a presence, to be with them in their habitat, and just to be graced by that presence is absolutely wonderful. Yeah. I'm wondering, Stu, if it's time to play some.
Yeah, I think it's really appropriate. There's just one or two questions I'd like you to ask about the Didge, just for anybody who may be inquiring, who is not absolutely familiar with the territory that we're talking about. My understanding was that the Didge was used as a key by the Aboriginal peoples in Australia, a key into the Wandjina, so that the ancestors would walk through in the space that is created by this interdimensional key of the sound of the Didge. Is that within your reality?
I understand that as well, yeah, from what I've been told and what I've researched and what I've experienced as well. That when I've been with Aboriginal performers, the Didge and the clapsticks create a resonance and a rhythm that just you can't help but be present. You just can't help but be present and witness, this sacred rite, that celebrates this beautiful earth that nourishes us and sustains us, and also receives from us. That when we offer our presence to the earth, as you say, with humility, the earth receives that, from us as well. I feel that very much, when we connect to our divine nature. So much beautiful connection can result from that.
And is it also true that the didgeridoo was a piece of wood that had been hollowed out by termites?
Yeah. Traditionally, that's where they first came from. So in the top end of Australia, you get quite small, quite short gum trees, not like the massive ones down in the south. And so, yeah, an Aboriginal person looking to make, when you go along, you look for where the termites, they build sort of little mud trails, and you see where one goes in, and often then you'll see higher up the tree, there'll be where they came out. So you cut that one down, shape it, and I've made a didge myself. It's a beautiful process to go through. Shape it up, a bit of native beeswax, which is dark from the stingless bees, and off you go. There's your didge. And today they're made from many different materials. I've got one here that Dr. Didge Dolphin designed. It's made from carbon fiber, and I've got one that's in a spiral shape, bamboo, poly pipe. You can kind of make a didge from anything. There is a sacred presence when you have a eucalyptus one, and all of mine are back in Australia at my uncle's place because I didn't get them on a plane. But yeah, that's essentially what it is. And the players of the didge, we awaken that spirit with our spirit. It's a beautiful connection, beautiful one.
Beautiful. And I remember, this is many years ago, but I remember meeting one of the shaman from a particular tribe in Queensland, and he was a very august being, a huge magical majesty about him. And he told me the story of the Wangina, of going into the Dreamtime, and how, as the shaman, he had been awoken at the early hours of the morning, that he could hear the didge calling him. And he felt that he would actually move, whenever this happened, he moved into a trance-like state and was always led by an inner compass and an outer awareness. He would be led to where the didge was, obviously roughly hewn by the termites at this point. He would always find it. Sometimes the journey would take 2 or 3 days, but he would just be called by the didge and then would find the particular wood, whatever the wood was, that the termites had actually lived in, and so forth. Similar to some of the great shaman in the Amazonian, particularly those that use psychotropic drugs to move into altered states of consciousness. And I was working with somebody recently who has had some very extraordinary with ayahuasca, and he reminded me that the shaman know exactly which plants they need to utilize to mix 2 leaves into a tea, which, if they're actually separate, they're highly toxic. But as soon as they're mixed into this mulch that becomes the tea, it becomes this psychotropic substance that's used for altered states of consciousness. The way that they find the plants is through hearing the note of every plant in the forest. So they know exactly which leaves to find. I just wanted to, extrapolate on and amplify what you were saying, so that we already have this wonderful field of magic and mystery that you and I are both highly respectful and reverential of. And I just, for those people who are listening in, and we're going to hear right now, dear Olivier playing, which, I mean, I'd love you to use both so that we can actually hear. Is that possible?
Absolutely. So I'll play.
Is there anything that you would like us to do in preparation?
Just open your heart, and if there's something you'd like to receive of a particular nature, a message or something, then be open to receive that. Otherwise, then just be open to receive the vibration and whatever wishes to come through for you.
Yeah. So did you hear that, everybody? Opening your heart if you wish to ask Divine Mother within the universe for a particular gift. She undoubtedly will respond to you. And if I may, I would recommend that you close your eyes so that you can hear with the inner ear as well as with the outer ear. Bless you. Thank you.
Okay.
I want you to go on. I was really into a journey there. I want you to go on. I had the most extraordinary experience as soon as the sound entered. Is there any way of coming slightly closer? Please do. Is there any way of coming slightly closer to the microphone?
Certainly. And if I turn it up a little bit, how's that? Does
Yeah,
that sound better? Yeah.
that's
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
Wonderful. So
So,
let's go spirally, see if we get a different vortex.
yeah, beautiful. So part 2, we're going to have 3 parts, everybody. Beautiful, beautiful. Again, I just want you to go on and on and on and on. So, are there any comments in the chat box? Anybody, please feel
I'm
free
saying the
to
sound isn't so good coming through. Normally with Zoom, we use original sound. So, Ryan, I don't know if you are able to tweak that a little bit, but was the second didge coming through, the spirally one coming through a little
because
bit
it's
better?
a different harmonic resonance.
Uh-huh.
It carries a little bit more clearly. It's extraordinary because the character of the second didge is what happens in my consciousness is that it opens up on a lateral harmonic. So the fact that the pitch frequencies are slightly higher, suddenly I see this extraordinary landscape open before me. Whereas the first didge, I'm taken immediately to the fire in the center of the circle. And I know that I'm part of a council of Indigenous elders. I'm there as a visitor. I'm there as a humble child to listen to their teachings. And what was extraordinary, the fire is giving the light. I can see the sky is not fully darkened. So, it's that twilight time, which is really, really magical. What Elliot, who seems to be talking to me this evening, T.S. Eliot called the violet hour. And of course, I love the color violet. And around the edge of the circle were the spirits of Roo, were the kangaroo. So so
Beautiful.
I'm taken into the family. And of course, what this means is I want to know more about what does the medicine animal of the Roo, apart from being wayfinders, they're obviously way showers because they showed you your way. They were also protectors on some level. But I feel that their leap, their jump, that they're indicating that we can be much lighter than we think we are.
And also when they travel like that, they expend no energy. They have amazing shock absorbers and springs in the tendons in their legs, and it's effortless for them to cover vast distances. And they also teach us about regeneration because, after a bushfire or after a long period of drought, when the rains come again, when everything is green again, they can breed. Very, very quickly. The females can have one in the pouch and a fertilized one ready, and one out of the pouch. They can have almost 3 babies, excuse me, at the same time. So their numbers can explode. It's like, these are the abundant times. Let's go. And I feel like that's a beautiful message for now, actually, Stuart. It's like, these are the abundant times. Like, let's bring all of ourselves in. And like, this is our time.
Yes, to remember that the field that we're talking about is interesting, that not next week, but the week after, there's a very remarkable person coming on. No, actually, it's next week, called Orrin Harris, who is a field exponent. So, this is all happening quite coincidentally, because here we were talking about the void. Here we are talking about the mystical spaces that can be opened out within our consciousness and without, the interrelationship between the inner and the outer. But at the same time, we're talking about this magical aspect of the fact that we often see that our lives are thwarted by not gaining the things that we want to achieve. Either it's to do with the fact that it's our fault, we don't feel good enough. And so we're constantly being diminished or subjugated, or diminishing and subjugating ourselves unconsciously or consciously. And all of the work that you and I engaged in, I feel, is reminding people about the miracle mindedness of the field of quanta, which is just rich with abundance. There is no idea of scarcity at all. It's just that everything is in constant flow, everything is in constant co-creation through the cycles of nature. And I hope you can hear what I'm suggesting, ladies and gentlemen, that this is really very extraordinary. Audrey, I don't know if you know Audrey. Audrey is saying that she had a pain in her leg and it's now gone. Which leg was it, Audrey? Yolanda's talking about pure magic. Any chance you have a CD for us to purchase? I'm sure he does. Not one, not two, but several. And Pandora will come to this in a second. Don't worry, I won't allow him to leave until he's told us where his website is and how there are access points that you can gain whatever Olivier has. Ryan is saying he's been cancelling the noise cancellation and pushing the volume to max.
Okay.
You could give a bit more gain, it would help. I don't know what that means. A little bit of sound.
Great.
You get the picture? Okay.
Yeah.
Any other things? People are talking about dancing. Any questions that anybody wants to ask?
Oh, my dear friend Dave in Scotland is buzzing with stunning energy through his crown chakra.
Oh, is this Dave? It's your friend of yours, Dave 5, because I've never met him before. And he was so kind that he came through and said hello, Stuart. It was very sweet of him. Thanks, dude. Hi, Dave. Pandora. Okay. So is there a particular quest, apropos the field of abundance that we're referring to, apropos the field of the void, because we see the void as being a negative or pejorative state of being, most of us. But actually what we're talking about is the fact that the void is this space of infinite possibility out of which we spring, and at a time when we choose to, we go back into. Is there a particular quest? Corey has a
think of, Stuart, is the Dreamtime, with respect, great respect to the teachers of this and the Indigenous people who live this in Australia. Everything is of the Dreamtime. And we have our own dreamings, and I think this is something that it took me a while to understand about Aboriginal society is how much the Dreamtime is present in their everyday lives. And you spoke about the shamanistic traditions of South America using plants to enter altered states. Australian Aboriginals have no The Aboriginal people have no psychotropic drugs that they use. If you go and spend time in Aboriginal communities, those who have been able to hold the connection and the tradition, very little is said. Most of it is transmitted telepathically. And you spoke about being around the fire. A dear friend of mine, a Dungari man, Mick, he helped me paint my first didgeridoo, actually. Beautiful artist. And he told me about coming together around a fire with Aboriginal elders from different groups. They come together, sit around the fire for an hour, no words are spoken, and yet everything is said. And at the end, see you later, fellas, off they go. There's this it's a universe, an absolute universe that they're holding within them. And what I have learned from that is this, the dreaming is so important. When we dream our dream and we live our dream, then the universe can deliver to us at the perfect moments everything that we need for all of those elements of that dream to come together, because what we want, the universe wants for us. And, I feel that very much in the way that Megan and I came together and how everything just exploded so quickly. It was like I'd been dreaming that for a long, long time. It'd been such a part of my awareness for so long, and I'd stayed true to it, so that when it showed up, it was like, I was dry fire, in the dry wood, in the fire. It was like I was ready to go. The spark, I just needed the spark, and it was off. So that Dreamtime aspect, Bryce Courtney in his Songlines book, gives you a way into that world. And there are many other wonderful artists and poets and authors coming together now to share this beautiful, beautiful gift that the Indigenous people have held on to since the Dreamtime. This is, again, Barry, the friend who taught me so much, and I was asking him about, these numbers that scientists say, Aboriginal people have been in Australia. They're saying, we've got Dreamtime stories from when the mountains spewed fire. There haven't been active volcanoes in Australia for 30 million years. And yet there are stories of them. So, there is a tuning into the narrative of this planet, of the deep and rich history of this planet that the Aboriginal people have nurtured. And as I say, as someone who has not been initiated, I'm allowed to see, less than 1% of that universe. And yet I can already see there's a whole universe there, and an initiated elder of an Aboriginal group, he would speak 3 or 4 languages and have access to the stories, the Dreamtime stories, and know the responsibilities of that, and those stories have been passed down at least 80,000 years, to give that, a number to it. That is a powerful and rich culture, even like which plants to eat when you're having a 1 in 200 year drought. Like what kind of culture can hold that knowledge so sacredly with such reverence? It's such a deep culture, and I'm so honored and privileged to have been allowed, to become a vessel for that. When I was living in Cornwall, I'd go into primary schools and sometimes senior schools and share Dreamtime stories that I'd been given and play the didgeridoo for them and get them to jump around like kangaroos and, to feel it in their bodies, like, feel Australia in your body, and have your dream. I would encourage them always, dream. It was a dream for me to go there. And I knew once I got there, why, it was like, yes, I realized my dream, but I also realized the greater dream that was dreaming me. Yeah. What a dream. Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Corey, your question about the void and Shakti. Absolutely, and of course, as we know, the Shakti is considered in the Vedic philosophies as being the female force within the void that awakens. Absolutely, it was, for example, the force that was released by the passing of Diana, and as we know, 3.9 billion people were affected by it. That's the record. Um, there was something very extraordinary. There is actually a satellite 23,000 feet above our heads that is calibrated by NASA to feel the shifts within the electromagnetic vibrational field of our planet purely through human feeling, through the expression of human emotion. And when Diana passed, the shockwave meant that the calibration reached into the stratosphere something like 7 hours before the news was actually broadcast that she had perished in this terrible car accident that she had, for example. And then also a similar frequency was noted when the first plane hit the first tower, and 10 minutes before the second plane hit the tower, there was also another. So you see, we know feeling is the language of the soul. We know, and if we can move, as you keep saying, into this state of profound stillness, we can really sense vast substances. So take us on a journey. It's we have just we have 10 minutes before we need to come to a point of completion. Could you play for 10 minutes so that you can take us to the other side and back again?
Pleasure, Stuart. Absolutely.
Beautiful. Thank
Okay.
you.
So in deep gratitude and honor all of the spirits of that beautiful great southern land and their ancestors, all of our ancestors, in this beautiful planet that we call home. Let's go traveling, eh?
Well done. Thank you. That was extraordinary. Really, really extraordinary. I feel there are many people who are very moved. Taiki says that the sound was saying to, forgive me, is it a lady or a man? Saying, come, come to me here. And she was seeing, he was seeing a fire and evening of lavender light, which is what I was talking about, you know, the violet hour. Many thanks from Jennifer, Stacy, Mark, Pandora. All doors and gateways are now open. All channels are free and clear. Namaste, namaste, namaste. Wow, well, thank you very much. It's a wonderful gift. Was there anything you'd like to share with us about what you were seeing as you were playing?
What I feel right now is this beautiful web of connection between us all, and that's what I love about this energy, isn't it? It just brings us together, unites us. You know, it's beyond words. You know, we don't need to say anything or do anything. We can just receive, be open, and yeah. Annie, I'm glad Annie Davenport, it was at her place that Megan and I first met. We played a sound bath together at her place. I'd never played with Megan before. We played at her house in Cornwall. It's on a ley line. And the magic came through like so clearly, and you know, everyone in the room felt it. And so you know, thank you so much, Annie. And I feel, you know, I was talking about this web of connection and creation. Almost we can't know how the impact of what our actions will be, you know, but the fact that Annie opened up our house to play, opened up her house for us to play there, you know, it's changed my life and the lives of so many other people, you know. So I feel that too, you know, like never be afraid to be generous. You know, never even just with a smile, because you could just change someone's day and they go off and change someone else's day. And I believe that's, you know, that's everything that we're here to do, is just to, you know, to bring our dreaming, you know, and live our dreaming and give it with a smile.
Beautiful. Well, there's a wonderful sentiment to finish on. I know that many people will want to access your work and your music in recording. Please, can you give details?
Yeah, certainly. So our website is soundbathhealing.com. So if you go in there and you look in resources, there are recordings there. And there's also, you know, if you'd like to do more work with myself or with Megan or with both of us, you know, we do deep healing work. Didjeridoo is a big part of that. If you feel called, then, you know, we'd love to take you on that journey.
Beautiful, beautiful. So did you all scribble that down? Bless you for all coming through. Unfortunately, we're going to have to finish. And as I was saying, you know, please do like and subscribe, as my wonderful tech manager has placed on the screen. All of the releases that move through Stuart Pearce YouTube channel. And please write a book, Stuart. Angela, I have 6 books in existence.
One of which somebody left at a sound healing weekend that Megan and I were running, and somebody left this book. No one, we got in contact with all of them. No one would own up to it. It was like, okay, we've got to have this book. I started, I was like, oh my word, this is incredible. So, Angela, absolutely read Stuart's books. They're beautiful, and not just read them. Practice the exercises, use them. You're a master of voice, Stuart. And what you bring is so. It brings your soul through as well. It's not just dry techniques. So yeah, absolutely. I love your book, Stuart. Thank you so much for bringing them to us.
What book was that?
That was, I can see the front of it. There's a book that had techniques for sound healing. Gosh, it's like a vortex on the front. And thank you, Alchemy of Voice. There you go.
My first book, The Alchemy of Voice, The Wisdom That the Angels Gave Me in 1987. And my latest book, for everybody who doesn't know, Diana, The Voice of Change. So it's taking the mystical and vast privilege of the physiological aspect of the fact that sound is a way of being able to address how our physicality can be used as an instrument to move into the imaginal, to move into the dream world, to move into the field of paradise, Septebi as it's called. So thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Bless you. I know that you're going to go off feeling infinitely more soothed than perhaps when you arrived. I hope this is the case. And please, do go to our YouTube channels, if we've just been hearing. And if anybody wants to receive newsletters from this particular communion of energy, then please go to theangelsofatlantis.com. You see Ryan has put it up on the screen, and just you'll see a wonderful gold orb in the corner, top right hand corner. Just fill in your details then, and then you will receive newsletters about all the amazing things that are going to happen. And this month is a wonderful month. Why? Because we have St. Valentine's Day on the 14th. And then there is an amazing enchantment that I'm running, which is chanting magic into our lives on the full moon. And then, of course, on February the 22nd, I'm going to be doing a global meditation manifestation, particularly for this unique day, because this day and all the configurations thereof only takes place every 5,000 years. So it's a very unique day. Thank you so much, Olivier. Stay where you are.
Valentine's Day is also World Sound Healing Day. So a great day to get connected to sound.
The what day? The 22nd?
Valentine's Day, 14th.
Valentine's Day, yes.
World Sound Healing Day. So yes.
Are you doing an event on the 14th?
Possibly we'll do one online. We'll see. We'll put it on the website, Soundbath.
Well, apparently you are right now. It's been decided. Everybody? Yes? You see, they're all saying yes.
Excellent. Let's do it.
Thank you. Namaste, namaste, everybody. Olivier, please stay where you are. Although Ryan's going to close down, we will still be able to talk. Thank you. Much love, everybody. Much love.
So much, everyone. So much love.